What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Solutions Podcast. We are on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Also, we are on the YouTube channel. Please smash that button. Hit the like. Leave a comment down below. Tell us what you want to hear and listen to. Then if you're looking for a place to email us, it's strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Then if you're looking for a website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. And on that website, you have free blogs, free guides, and programs for purchase. Also, if you're looking for us on social media, then you could go to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and it's Strength Solutions Podcast on there as well. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right, guys. I guess we're both trainers, huh?
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah. A lot of times I get is, why should somebody hire a trainer?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we forget how complex the body is and how complex life is.
Yeah.
And a lot of our space gets disrespected over time. And I think we forget how complex, like the metabolism, the brain, having a lifestyle, and everything in life goes together. And we try to separate it out. Like if we're building a car, or let's say our radiators mess up, I just need to take out this one part and put a new part in, right? Where in life, it may be like, yeah, right now you might need this, like maybe you need more sleep. But maybe in the next part of your life, you need to be learning how to de-stress and breathing and learning how to recover. So the body and mind is more complex than actually fixing a car itself.
Yeah, there's so many like compound different things that kind of go together whenever you're trying to look at stuff like that. I was talking to a client today and the life is just kind of all over the place, like you're saying. And I was like, maybe you need to sort of do like an elimination diet type thing before your life. Like remove everything at the moment that you can control, right? That maybe are stressors or things like that. And then slowly add maybe another thing in and then another one and another one until you find that one that you're like, okay, that's the one that kind of puts me over the top or whatever it is. Same thing too, in terms of like injuries and things like that. She has issues with like hands and tension and things like that through there. And so I was like, well, let's kind of eliminate a lot of our grip related things, like maybe we're doing too much there, and we'll slowly add things in over time. It's like, okay, well, let's try the deadlift. We'll go through the week with just that. We'll come around next week. How are you doing? It was cool. Okay, cool. Then it's not the deadlift, right? Let's add in something else and kind of coming through those things. And I think that's a good point also to having a trainer, right? Because we're able to kind of discuss that, figure that out, kind of go through different ideas and opinions on what maybe needs to be done, as opposed to sometimes when things like that come around, most people will just avoid it forever for the rest of their life.
Yeah, dude, like people think they're spending a lot of money up front and they're like scared. They're like, why am I spending money on something I can do on my own? Well, I can fix my car on my own. I can clean my house on my own.
Yeah.
I can cook on my own, right? But it's going to help you in situations that you may not be aware that's going on. You have an objective individual who's looking at you from a distance,
right,
who can help you out. It's almost like going to therapy pretty much.
Yeah, that's a
with
good
your clients.
Yeah, because sometimes, like you said, going through therapy, things like that, you don't really realize certain things that you're doing or parts of your life environment, right, that may be affecting you in certain ways. Yeah,
dude, I recently have had someone go up to one of my clients, because I have a higher charge rate than quite a few people. And they're like, well, you spend that many days with him. Like, how do you afford it? And she's like, well, I just cut other aspects of my life, but this brings me more than if I was to spend here instead to that individual. And I heard the whole conversation. And that person's going to sign up with me because of that, right? Because they understand it's more than just working out and losing weight. And we talk so much about the shallow end, but a good trainer can get you in and out of injuries or help you to that next level so that you don't injure yourself.
Right. And I think that there's a lot to that too, of sort of prioritizing where you're spending money, right? If that's kind of the thing, because a lot of us don't think twice about going out to eat, right? And it's super easy to spend the same amount of money that you would on a personal training session in one day or one just lunch,
dude. I can give you a perfect example, dude. I was bowling the other day. There's a family of 4 to 5 right next to me, and I could tell you everything that they ordered, plus the bowling.
Yeah.
Plus, I know they went to arcades. Was at least $500 in one time. That $500 could be enough for pretty much 2 sessions a week with me and give you a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, I think about that sometimes too. Where I'm like, okay, if I wanted to go on vacation for a weekend, right? Let's say I'm gonna do Friday through Sunday. All right, I'm already out $300 to $400 for like a hotel, right? You know, you're probably gonna go out to eat 2 or 3 times a day, right? There's like another $300 for real, you know, maybe go out one night to get drinks as another 200, right? I'm already spending like $1,000 on one weekend, like you said, which could have been for probably 3 times a week, you know what I mean? For a month. And so it's really just kind of trying to find out where your priority is, what's going to give you the most value. Are you going to value that more, right? Over it too.
Yeah. And you could even see, this is the thing, is you could see a trainer 30 minutes a week or an hour once a week. As long as you see one, so that way, like in that moment, they can guide you a little bit through different scenarios and different things. Like we talk about how we have clients who may be injured, but it's not even due to physical. It's probably due to mental stress, right? Yeah. And at least you have a good trainer to get you there. So that leads me to this next idea and concept. What is a good trainer? What is somebody who's going to help you and who's going to be worth the charge rate? Yeah,
that too.
So for me, it's more like, how are they going to talk to you? That's one. Experience can lead you to a better trainer as well. Not saying every experienced trainer is a good trainer.
Right.
And the third thing is, do they continue their education?
Yeah, I think that's probably the most important one. And it's funny. I was talking to a client who's going to be moving soon, and they were talking about maybe trying to afford a trainer outside of where they're moving to and things like that. And one of the gyms that's close by, and I'm kind of aware of that gym. It's huge. And I almost was looking to apply there. And I remember looking at the rates that they charge, and I was like, man, this is really, really cheap, you know? And so I was kind of telling them about that, and I was like, maybe it'll be more affordable. Like maybe you could do that. And they were like, yeah, but it also might mean that they're like not as good of trainers, you know? And I was like, that's true. That's very true. And so I think experience is one for sure, but also the type of experience, right? Because some people might have 20 years of experience just working in gyms, not really working with clients who maybe do have pain, right? Or working with people who have diseases or injuries or things like that. Because if I'm someone who's in pain, I don't want to go to the bodybuilding coach, right? You know, I want to go to someone who's a little more versed in what I'm looking for. So I think trying to find the trainer that's going to fit you the most is important. And sometimes, you know, I'll be honest too. I think you heard me on the phone one time with one of my clients, and they were like, no, I really want to do the bodybuilding. Like, are they better at doing bodybuilding, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't really think that's what you need right now. So sometimes even what you think you might need or what you want isn't exactly what you need for your goal.
Yeah. And I think, if you look for a trainer out there, are they on their phone while they're out there? Are they actually texting when they're off, like as friends?
Yeah.
Because in our profession it's a little bit different. We're not very like strict. And I was having this conversation with the guy who's going to go into PT. I was like, I wish in the PT realm that they would allow them to be a little bit more friendly, but it's very strict. And you know, you got to like put in this into the system to get the insurance to work this way, where we can be a little bit more friendly and get more buy-in from clients.
And I think that's really important, right? Because at the end of the day, I tell a lot of new trainers this too. I'm like, once you start going, people aren't going to be coming to you for the gym you work at or whatever it is. They're going to be coming to you for you, right? Like you're the product they're buying at the end of the day. And I think building that friendship, the relationship, kind of just getting to know them is important, not only for the job wise, right? So they feel more comfortable telling me everything that's going on, so I know, right? But also, like you said, for that sort of buy-in part, like a lot of my clients, I'm like, I mean, y'all are kind of like my friends, you know?
And then trainer gives you good accountability because you have to show up, or you're spending money and you're losing money.
Oh yeah.
Another thing is they can help you avoid like pitfalls. So sometimes we forecast like, oh, be careful, this is what's going to happen in the future. And you know what happens a lot of times? Like I've told someone, they started in January, they were going really hard. I'm like, you're either going to get sick or you're going to get injured. And because they didn't listen to what I said that first year, they got sick and then they didn't come back to gym. The next year I was like, okay, look, let's take it slow.
Yeah.
And they were just a member at the gym. Let's take it slow. And now they continue to work out. It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And when you could forecast like, okay, 3 months from now, you might hit a plateau on this because we started here. That's when we're probably gonna have to switch the workouts and go here. A lot of times people quit working out because they hit that plateau, or they go down and they're like, I'm weaker, and maybe they need more sleep.
Yeah.
And that's what we talk about. Or maybe they need less working out, which is what we're talking about, instead of more. And so this is where a trainer can help you with a lot of your pitfalls.
Yeah.
You know, other things, you have things like questions that you can ask somebody that you saw on social media, someone who you can trust. Be like, oh, well, I saw the 90-degree method's the best method. Or I saw that this diet's the best. You have someone who you can trust and go to with information, especially if they're experienced and they're giving you really good answers that are like, well, in this situation, it depends. And in that situation, it depends, right? And they can give you like different variables, and they can even tell you, well, for you, this is what I think.
Right.
For you.
I think that's the main thing too, is like someone who knows you on a really, you know, deep level, that you can discuss sort of those things that are going on. Like a lot of my clients, you know, they'll come in, first questions I ask is, how you doing? What's going on? How's your week? You know, because all those things are going to give me information as to how they're doing right now. And I think that a lot of my clients will come to me too, like that, with questions where they're like, hey, I saw you guys talk about this on your podcast, or, you know, I saw this the other day and it changed my mind. Is that how we're supposed to be doing things? Or, you know, I've even had clients tell me like, man, you know, you're always telling me this, and, you know, maybe they didn't really buy it, but then they saw it on YouTube or whatever, and they're like, you're always saying that, and now I believe it. So,
it happens.
It happens. Yeah. And I think being, like you said, that sort of quote unquote like safe space for them to be able to ask those questions that maybe they might feel silly asking otherwise, is really important. Yeah.
And then I think this is one of the most important parts of having a trainer, is being able to go to somebody and be able to de-stress and get rid of stress for 1 hour. You have someone to vent to. You have somebody who's going to exercise you. Exercise helps you with mental health, helps you with the relaxation of your body, who's not going to push you too far.
Yeah. I think that's super important too. Cause I mean, sometimes you go with friends, right? And maybe their idea is like, okay, well, let's just fuck it up and let's go super hard. Sometimes maybe that's not what you need, right? You have someone, like you said, on the outside who's able to kind of objectively see like, okay, maybe today isn't the day we do that. You know, like maybe we need to like take it back a little bit. You know, how often do your clients come in and just go like, and just like tell you every single thing that they're going through or whatever's going on and stuff. And I like that, you know, because number one, it helps me learn about them. Two, like you said, I know that they're getting the stress out, because my goal at the end of the day always is that you leave feeling better than when you came in. Right.
Correct,
and so, you know, doesn't always happen, but that's sort of the goal. And so I think that is probably, honestly, I'm going to say like 80% of why people have trainers is just so they can come in, someone keep them accountable, be comfortable and have fun with, right? And just have like a good workout by the end of the day.
Dude, I've had a client where she came in and, you know, there's a lot of outside factors of so stressful, her job and everything. And she's the 1 hour that she's there, she doesn't have to think about the workout. She doesn't want to have to think about it. She de-stresses with me because I joke around with her.
Yeah.
And it ends up being like the best hour of her day. And we do it in the morning. So when she goes to work, she feels de-stressed and her work performance is better.
Yeah.
Because of it. So this leads me to thinking like, dude, how do we help more people in the fitness space and help with marketing fitness differently? And I really couldn't think of anything, because the way we are as people.
Yeah.
We want this quick fix. We want the guy who looks ripped up, who sounds like he knows everything. And we want this black or white answer. So how can we as a space give better answers, and the ones that become popular are like Jordan Syed, the ones that are giving you real answers in a kidding way. You know, I think that's probably the only route that I could think of right now that would really help people.
It reminds me of the same thing of, I mean, when I was younger or even now, like a lot of people, I know you've maybe heard of shows like The Daily Show or things like that, where it's like news given in like a comedic, almost like satirical way. And like a lot of people get their news from sources like that,
which is wild,
where it's accessible. You know, it's like easy to understand, because I think in the fitness space, there's a lot of those extreme realms where it's either, like you said, beast mode mentality, right? Where we have the people who are too scientific, right? And then we have people who are maybe like too, like, you know, Squat University, where it's too just high level, and it alienates a lot of the population, right? And so I think to get to that middle ground is where you are in the center, where, like you said, it's more accessible. You have people like Jordan Syatt, right, where he's never coming out with like, well, the research and you know, the blah blah blah. It's always like very, like very, very accessible is the best way I can put it. Yeah, to where anybody can look at it, learn something, understand it, and he gives it in a way that's a little comedic. You know, it's funny, and I feel like most people tend to feel comfortable taking information from there, because I've seen people who listen to Squat University or whatever it is, and I know I talk about them a lot, but I think they're just super popular. And they're, you know, now they're super confused.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, well, I don't know what to, because this guy's saying this or blah, blah, blah.
Or they listen to Squat University, which he does a lot of stability core work, does lifting.
Yeah.
But a guy who's like a mobility guy is like, well, you got to be able to move your core. And all that stuff.
I've literally seen comments like that on his videos.
And it's just like, it's confusing. And you got to remember what population each individual is talking to. If you're listening to a really general population person, he's going to tell you it depends. I've had clients in this scenario. I mean, I've literally have clients who've had back pain because of their feet, because of their pelvis, because of their upper thoracic spine, and all the pains in the lumbar spine. Yeah. So it's all different reasons, and you can't give a simple answer. And they present it on social media as like, this is the only answer. Like I saw this person who I really like, and they were talking about plantar fasciitis and how it comes from like a lumbar spine. And I'm like, I believe it does, but it could also be just a foot. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like you said, pinpointing what their audience is, which is hard, because they do kind of always put it as like everybody needs to be doing these types of things. Because that's the only way people listen, unfortunately. Right. Yeah. And like, again, for example, like Squat University, you look at it and he's always like, let me tell you how my 4 gold medal Olympian client, you know what I mean? Or let me tell you how strongman Martin Lisis did whatever. And it's like, okay, I'm none of those people. So I'm probably not going to gain any information from this type of thing, you know, from my general experience. And then on the other hand, you have people like Jordan Syatt, which trains most general population. It's a lot of online training, a lot of forums and things like that. He might be someone that you listen to, right? So it's like, okay, is this person more targeted towards athletes? Is this person top performers? Yeah. Is this person more targeted towards other personal trainers? Is this person more targeted towards general population? Towards PT? And the thing is, that's funny, is that I feel like most people are gonna listen to the higher end stuff, right? Which is crazy. Yeah, which is funny, because you're just like, why would, it's the same sort of concept of whenever I have like women come into the gym and they're like, I don't want to get big like a guy. And I'm like, well, why would you get big like a guy? You're a woman, you know, like it's that same thing where, why are you comparing yourself to a completely different category of people? Yeah, it's crazy, dude. So dude, I've been thinking too about the whole vegan egg, Pop-Tart protein, and all these things. It's crazy that we're still making foods high protein instead of telling people like, look, try and get most of your foods from Whole Foods. Whole Foods, yeah. And the vegan egg thing that you're talking about, just so everybody understands, we saw this video the other day where they had created this vegan egg that comes in a single-use package. It looks like an over easy egg, dude. It's crazy. Yeah, and you essentially, it's all frozen. You like, I guess, just pop it in the microwave or something like that. No, they actually put it on like a skillet, and you just defrost it essentially. Yeah, and then you even like, you can crack the yolk and it runs and all this stuff and everything. And you know, it's processing power, bro. Dude, oh my god, yeah. And it sucks because I think the word vegan has been equated to healthy, which is crazy, right? Yep, which is also crazy too. But I think that more people, like you said, need to be told, stop buying quote unquote healthy things, because even that's highly processed, right? What we should have is a processed versus whole food debate. Processed versus unprocessed. Yeah. How processed is the item? So let's take, for example, a potato. A baked potato is not very processed. No. Right? How we're going to process it more is now we're making a mashed potato. Yeah. and then we're going to really process it now as a chip, right? So those are 3 different categories of a potato, right?
Yeah.
And that's not including what else do they do with potatoes?
Oh man, everything. Potatoes are awesome. You can do whatever you want with them.
But that gives you a good idea and concept of like how far down the scale you can go, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so I think we need to have more conversation of that, because if I do want to say, hey, what's the most extreme processed stuff out there? It's probably vegan food, right? Like it's an amalgamation of stuff that they've created into like this edible thing. Like I almost compare vegan food to like McDonald's. You know what I mean? It's like it's super, super processed. They're created in like a factory from pink slime and shit, you know? And it's like
fortified with everything.
They're fortified with everything. And then you just slap vegan on it and everybody's like, oh God, that's healthy. Thank God I can eat this. And it's like, it's probably got as much processing as if I went to just go buy a frozen beef patty. You know what I mean? You might as well just eat the beef patty, because at least that's maybe closer to being a whole food, right? But yeah, I agree. We got to have a different conversation about this stuff.
All right, let's talk about healthy, right? And how we talk about the top people always like, oh, this is the healthy thing to do, or whatever.
Yep.
And so there's a video. My dad posted it in the WhatsApp group in my family.
Okay.
And it was about, oh, you see, tequila is the healthiest out of all the alcohol.
Your dad is sponsored by tequila, bro.
Oh, yeah. He has tequila in the veins. He's all.
Dude, I'll never forget the first time I met him. He was like telling us about how tequila cured his allergies and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa. That's awesome, dude.
So I watched the video, and then it's like Gary Brecka, and he breaks down like tequila from a science level. And we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
And then there's a doctor that goes behind him like, yes, this is true, but but yes, tequila is the best out of all alcohols, even though most alcohol is bad for you. And I'm like, man, y'all don't really take people's lifestyles into consideration. And this is when the medical field is like so messed up.
Yeah.
They're like, go lose weight. Well, what's their lifestyle? Like it takes more. And this is why we talk about hiring a good trainer is look, have your alcohol. Let's space it out. Life is more than just like, let's work out. Let's be a robot. It's about social.
Yep.
Having a good time with family and friends. I'm about to go on vacation here, and I'm going to have alcohol.
Yep.
I'm going to drink, and I'm going to get fucked up. But alcohol can be benefit. It can relax my body.
Yeah.
And then I've noticed too, sometimes I don't drink very much, but I feel like I do feel better every now and then when I drink alcohol, just to like relax my brain, relax my body a little bit. I don't go overboard, but alcohol could be a good thing in a social setting, and help people disregard that so much. It's ridiculous at this point.
Okay in moderation, right? I was reading a article, not a study, today about alcohol, and it was you know how in the past they've said like, oh, a couple glasses of red wine is good for you, or like, you know, having a beer once a day can have like cardiac health benefits and stuff. Now they were saying that they had done, I guess, as research has come around and they've done more studies and things like that, that's more in the realm of like lobbying from alcohol companies to try and make alcohol seem healthy, and having a little bit of their product is going to improve your health. Now, I'm gonna pause here because I want to back you up actually and say that I think in some cases, like you said, it could help, right? It could make socially aspects better, or in terms of mental health, stress, things like that, in moderation, right, and done right. But I think that in the case of where they're saying like it's going to make you healthier, right, to do this, I think that's not the correct way to put that, right?
Or that it's totally unhealthy for you, right?
Yeah. Either one is kind of on that extreme end of it, where it's like we can't just go around saying nobody can drink ever. Right, because people have been drinking for a long time, so there must be something to it.
You know, it makes me really think too. Like you have different phases of life, you have different priorities in life at different times, right? And at one point, you may drink more alcohol, and then another point, you don't drink as much. And then you know, it's just about like learning how to live through your life, finding balance in what you need in that moment. So maybe one phase of your life, work is most of your life. As you get older, maybe it's more being social and having the grandkids around. It's all depending where you are in life. What do you need? And Buddha was right. You got to find balance, right? And balance means different things to different people.
Yeah, true.
So, dude, the coolest thing. I know I sent it to you. I don't know if you saw the video or not. the prosthetic foot.
I don't think I did see this one.
Dude, okay. Let's see if you could look through your phone and try to find it. Okay.
It's on Instagram?
I don't remember if it's Instagram or TikTok.
Find it.
But okay, so the foot literally has like all these like little ridges in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way it bends is almost like your real foot. So you could kind of curve in the front and then squeeze like the end of it.
Wow.
And dude, you could walk. It's wild, dude. And when you watch the video, you can just see that it has like almost like your toes. It could kind of like come up.
It's like fully
and then go
posable.
down.
Yeah.
And the person's walking like if they were walking normally, right?
Wow.
And so you can have uneven surfaces now, and the foot adjusts on it.
Just like your normal foot would, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because like as wearing barefoot shoes a lot of the time, I kind of see that a lot to where like if I'm stepping up a curb or up a curb, like your foot kind of like grabs onto it, you know, like wraps around. Whereas when you're wearing a hard sole shoe or a more like athletic shoe where there's lots of cushioning, you don't get that kind of posability, you know, in the foot and stuff like that. Whoa, this is cool. This guy's tying his shoe and his toes are all flexed and everything like that. You see the arch in it. Wow, that's wild, dude.
Dude, it's so cool.
Super cool. Yeah, I like that a lot, man.
Yeah.
I'm really, we were talking the other day, one of my clients is going to have cataract surgery and just like how kind of quick the recovery process is and all that. It's like 1 or 2 days. You can't lift or do anything for those days because you can't really have a lot of pressure. But it's like so fast, you know, and now they can do knee surgeries where the next day you're already standing and walking.
Yeah.
Where just literally a few years ago, when I've had people come in for knee surgeries, it's weeks, months of rehab and stuff like that. And I'm sure those things are more expensive or harder to do or whatever, but technology is just advancing in this way that's
so rapid,
so fast. Yeah, so fast. Within years, things are so different.
All right, guys. I know if you like flying Southwest, I'm sorry to tell you.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Yeah,
but seats will be assigned.
Yeah. So
this is wild. And
I've only flown American once, and you had assigned seating.
Yeah.
You like went and chose it. But so Southwest is just like what, first person on the plane gets to
so you get to go through like 1 through whatever, you get a assigned seat, you logged in or assigned time like in line. So the first people are always priority, right? Because they're people who probably pay
a fee
Southwest for extra fee, or they have a card, or they have a companion pass.
Got a membership.
Right, membership. So they usually get on first. And then you would have to like wait 24 hours and then you would sign up real fast to try to get in line. Right.
Okay.
And so, you know, if you're one of the people in the middle towards the back, you may not be sitting with your friends and family and stuff like that. So that's part of it.
That's kind of, I don't think I like that.
But so like it was cool. I was fine with it. I mean, I just care if a flight's cheap or not.
Did you?
And if a family's there, they should get priority to sit together like kids and moms.
Right.
But the funny part of the article to me was like, this is not about money and making more money.
Oh.
And I was like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to assign seats and make people pay for the seats that they want.
Oh, right. I see. Okay.
Because, American makes you pay for like window or.
Right. Okay. So that was the draw, is that you pay like essentially a flat rate and you have the chance to sit somewhere else. Oh, okay. Okay. That makes more sense. But now they're saying like, if you want to sit at the front, that's going to be 3 times the cost of a seat in the back. Right. But it's not about money.
Yeah. That's the funny part, right?
I see. But that's crazy.
Maybe they do this first year, the prices of tickets don't drop down, but they start dropping down. So who knows? It may be like an adjustment in ticket price for them, because Southwest has gotten a little bit more expensive lately.
Is it one of the cheaper airlines?
It used to be.
Oh, not anymore.
No.
What's
but
like the
also you get luggage
now?
For free there. So
damn. What, is Spirit the cheapest one?
I think Spirit, JetBlue, those are like the discount airlines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I went riding.
And then until they're canceled and then you got to ride.
Yeah, I had a fine experience on American Airlines. I mean, that's the only one I've ever flown, but it was all right. It wasn't too bad.
All right, so let's go to the studies. The first one is widespread practice among athletes harms both performance and health.
Uh-oh.
So drastically cutting back on caloric intake to lose weight ahead of competition is commonplace among athletes. However, this type of dieting doesn't just diminish performances, it also can compromise their immune systems.
Yeah, makes total sense.
It makes total sense. And I think it's funny. So I've listened to like really good boxing coaches or MMA, and their goal is to get them as close to body weight of like what they're going to actually, fight at. So let's say it's 138. I don't know, random, right?
Okay.
let's say it's 138. Well, maybe they could be like 142 so they could cut water, but they don't have to cut that much weight before the fight.
Yeah.
You know, and so the more you have to cut, the weaker the performance. I think we already know this, but I think people don't understand like how it works. You could lose a certain amount of water in one day.
Yeah.
And you're not going to perform as better as well.
Yeah. I mean, on a smaller scale, I see clients deal with this all the time where they're like, oh, I gained 3 pounds since yesterday. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You didn't gain 3 pounds. You know, you don't even really know what weight you are. You're somewhere between 205 and 200. Yeah. Right. And it's going to fluctuate all throughout the day, from day to day, et cetera, et cetera. And so you see those changes. But I think that you're right. I think that there needs to be a better focus on like really getting them to super close that amount of weight. And I mean, I understand that it's hard because if you're not cutting weight by the time of show, then you're fucked, right? You're going to lose the fight. But I think that there needs to be, like you said, like if I'm 138, okay, I'm going to go to 145, right? So I have some of that space there to cut the water weight or inflammation or whatever it is. And then now I'm just at like my peak performance weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the people that are most accused of this is probably bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And I think they just, when they start their cut, they start too far out and they end up losing a lot of muscle tissue because of it versus like if I was a guy, I would try to be at 10% body fat probably before I even like try to cut for a show. So that way when I'm cutting, I can cut super, super slow. And I'm less, the last 2 or 3 weeks are going to suck, but you shouldn't have to suck all through the 16 to 12 week cut.
It needs to be like a slower, consistent process as opposed, because I see that, you know, where they like, it's almost in blocks where it's like, this is going to be a block where you just like bulk super hardcore. And then here's another one. Then, you know, 8 weeks to 10 weeks out, you're just going to only cut. You know, that's it. That's all you're going to do. Yeah. And I think that you're right. I think it needs to be like a slower process. So
this next study was, does onset of daylight savings time lead to an unhealthy lifestyle? Consumers' attitudes and health and behaviors respond negatively to the switch of daylight savings times.
Yeah, because that shit sucks.
Dude, I think we already know this, and I don't understand why do we still do it.
Yeah, why do we do it? Who's big daylight savings that's trying to lobby for this?
I don't know. Dude, everybody agrees on this. Like they're tired of like, especially the spring forward. It's not so much the fall back one that gets people. It's the spring forward one, which like you're like tired for a week or two. It takes time to adjust. Think about you're messing with your hormones now. You're waking up an hour early, so now you're hungry. You might start creating habits that are unhealthy because of it.
Yeah, if we want to talk about it on like a business aspect too, I bet performance declines. People make less money during those 2 weeks. Like, there's a lot of reasons to not do it. Isn't Arizona like didn't they outlaw it or whatever? Like, you don't. I know do
that, and I think Indianapolis it doesn't change at all.
Yeah, why can't we just fucking do that everywhere? Because at this point, literally, it's arbitrary. Who cares?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't understand. I know that people used to say it was like for farmers or whatever, but I'm like, I don't think that that's true anymore.
I think in Puerto Rico, when we go, if you go during different type of years, because the East Coast changes their time in, I don't think they do. It's either 1 hour away or 2 hours away, depending on the time of the year.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
That's probably why they're happy there in the island.
Yeah, island time.
All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, please share, like, subscribe. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Also, on YouTube, smash that like button, hit the subscribe. Tell Nathaniel, don't wear the hat next time.
I like it.
And then if you're looking for a website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. We have free blogs, free guides, and programs on there for purchase. We've had people run our programs, and they've gotten results. Also, if you're looking for a place to email us future fitness questions, it's strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Then we're on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, Strength Solutions Podcast. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right, let's get ready for these fitness questions. Can you gain too much muscle? Is the first question.
Interesting. Fuck no. Get jacked.
Get jacked. Yeah. I really think everybody has an independent amount of muscle they could get naturally.
Yes.
And within that realm, that's probably going to be the healthiest. And even if you get to that top end of how much muscle you can grow, it may not be healthy for you, the individual.
Right. And I'm going to put it like this. So I don't think having a large amount of muscle if we're just talking about that, is bad. I don't think that there is, quote unquote, too much muscle that you could have. Now, here's what I'll say though.
Like naturally.
Naturally.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I will say this, that I think the process of trying to build that much muscle is probably the part where I would say is the unhealthy part.
Yes.
Right? Focusing so much on it, having to change your life so much on it.
Always shoving food down your mouth.
Yeah. That's just exhausting.
Not giving the gut a break, a heart a break.
Yeah, I think that consistent high level of trying to maintain that isn't good, right? In the same way that trying to maintain a super low body fat percentage is unsustainable as well, right? Like, because let's put this question this way. Can you have too little muscle? You would say yes, right? You could say yes for sure. So in the same aspect, you can have too much muscle also. I think that the reasons, though, are just different. And so I think the process of trying to keep that high level all the time, every day, for weeks on end and years on end is where you're going to find the problem, as opposed to just having a high amount of muscle on your body.
All right. Question number 2. Do you recommend going to a functional doctor versus a Western medicine doctor?
I think I recommend having both.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think you got to understand yourself too, right? So let's say your testosterone is low. Do you want to go through the functional practice and try everything that they do testing wise? And are you willing to go that route and try to go all natural?
Yeah.
And then are you willing to accept at some point, well, it doesn't work anymore. Can I go a little bit higher?
It's funny too, as you're saying that today, I don't know why. I feel like every fucking I'm going to be honest with you too. I feel like every fitness influencer does the same shit. They all talk about the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I saw like 3 different posts today about natural testosterone boosters and if they work or not. I don't know if you saw any of that trend kind of going around.
No.
But it's like, do things like testosterone or like ashwagandha or things like that boost testosterone. Maca root is another one and things like that. And pretty much the consensus is usually like, no, right? They don't. Now, are they doing it just to supplement by itself? Or are they also paying attention to the other aspects of like sleeping and stuff like that? But one of my clients has a functional medicine doctor, and I like that. I think it's really cool. Just even hearing about it and kind of what their recommendations are, as opposed to just the Western medicine doctor. But I think you need both. So let's talk about this in terms of like Ozempic. Right. If I go to a Western medicine doctor and I say, I need to lose weight, they're going to say, here's this medication, take it. Right. Now, if I have a functional medicine doctor and the Western medicine doctor, they might say, here's a medication, take it. And then I can go and talk to my functional medicine doctor and be like, what are the other aspects of my life that I can change in conjunction with this to make it highly effective?
Yeah.
Right. And then those two things together. Now, in the same way, I might go to a functional medicine doctor and say, I need to lose weight. What can I do? And they might be like, well, try this, this, and that. And that might not work on its own either. Yeah. Right. And so I think that having both of them together is truly what I think everybody needs. I think we should have both.
Yeah, I agree.
And I wish that they would talk to each other too, but I bet they never will.
Everybody wants to be there, right?
And I bet, I'm also going to go on this end too. I might say that it's probably the Western medicine doctor that's going to be least likely to try.
I'm not going to say that, because I believe when you get in that high level, so for example, I know somebody who's gotten a back surgery. The guy that they got it the first time had this God complex about him, and he was like, he didn't even recommend PT afterwards. Client still hurt, got a new back surgery, feel much better.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, at that level, I think too many times, I think it even happens to trainers that they're at a high level, like, I'm so right, and
I don't need this.
Functional training is the only way to do this and this and that. It's just like, look, you got to meet everybody at an individual level, dude. Just like, at the end of the day, it just is what it is. And we're all individuals. We have different lifestyles. We have different upbringings, different things that affect our brains and minds since we've grown up. And it's all individualized. Yeah. We're unique. I think we've lost that concept of uniqueness, and we're not all equal. It's just better to get both and try to get both perspectives and then see what you want to do as an individual.
Right. I know you guys wanted an answer. I know you wanted to say one or the other. Yeah, but honestly, both.
What is the best way to do a superset?
Ooh, you got to do 5 exercises at the same time. You got to do... One time I was at Planet Fitness and I saw this person, and they were doing the hip adductor. And at the same time they were doing the hip adductor, they were doing bicep curls. And I was like, that's some real shit right there. It's kind of crazy.
So let's talk about what types of supersets are there, right? Yeah. So there's agonist, antagonist.
I like that
right?
one.
So I love that one. Let's say I'm doing my back first and then I do my chest, right? That's the one. Or you could do a superset of the same muscle, right? So I could do hammer curls, then bicep curls.
Yeah.
Right? That's another way, right? It's just depending how do you want to do it. Or you can do a superset of a leg exercise and a shoulder exercise to try to get most out of both in a short period of time.
Yeah.
It's all depending on what your goal is at the time. So like I would do like the leg and shoulder because I'm trying to get as many exercises in a short period of time because I don't have much time.
Without fatiguing the same area. Without right? So I'm trying to be as getting the most, like you said, the most efficient out of both of those. I think if I had to choose one, I think most of the time I like to do agonist, antagonist. That's, I just think it's well-rounded. It's good. It's also not really hitting the same area, right? So I can kind of get through it. Sometimes it even helps, right? Like you said, if I'm going to do, let's say I'm going to do a TRX row and then go into a barbell bench press. Well, now my rotator cuffs are really active, right? My lats are working, and then I can go into that bench press and probably feel, oh yeah, I'm super stable. I'm really activated. I think if you are going to do agonist, antagonist, or even same one, just understand that you're going to fatigue a little bit faster. But there's benefits to that too, right? I mean, it just kind of all depends on what you're trying to do.
What is your goal?
Yeah. If you're,
this is why you should hire a trainer.
If you're cut for time, maybe like you said, maybe I'm doing a leg and then a chest, or a shoulder and then a back, right? Or something. And I'm just trying to go around and keep myself as fresh as I can on each area while still getting things done as quickly as possible.
Question number 4. I like this one. Why doesn't the fitness industry focus on other things than aesthetics?
I mean, simply put, I would just say, because that's the shit that sells. Aesthetics is definitely what sells. I think in today's time too, where, 1 in 8 people are taking Ozempic, like we saw the other day. I say Ozempic, but just weight loss medication in general. That's what people want. It's always about that sort of aesthetic goal. And that goes for both, right? Men and women, right? Anybody that comes into the gym, at least 10% of their goal is going to be, I want to look better, right? Everybody is looking for that in some way, regardless of what they say that they're looking for. No one's going to say no to that. Yeah. Right.
I don't know. It's human nature. I think that's the main reason why they sell that way, and people fall for it. They look at the 6-pack ab trainer. Joseph, our buddy, had a great post. I even texted him. It was about this person has 300 likes, and the picture didn't even look that good. It was like a shit picture. And they had 300 likes, but they had like a top, bra top and like super short. And then the other person had an amazing, beautiful picture, didn't like show their body, and they didn't get as many likes. And the product was better on the other side versus this side. Yeah. But because someone's showing their body, they're getting more likes, shares. Yeah. And it just shows human. We're just attracted to that. It's unfortunate. You have to take yourself out of your animal brain and really focus on what you need.
I remember when I first started getting into fitness, the two fitness people I saw at the beginning were Jeff Cavalieri, Athlete X, right?
Ripped up, always with the shirt off.
Dude, oh yeah. And I'm sorry, I was about to say the same thing. V-Shred.
Oh, V-Shred.
Yeah, also same thing. Always ripped up, always shirt off. Right? And what's funny is that it was like camps, right? I remember people were like more on V-Shred side, more on Athlete X side. Both of those guys are always ripped up, shirts always off, right? And that's like their selling point for sure. But both of them were selling different products, right? Athlete X, he was very, at the time, he was very like scientific, right? Like, I'm going to show you the muscle fibers and this and that and whatever. And then
because I'm ripped up, I'm smart.
Yeah. And V-Shred was kind of the other way, where he was just like, I'm just doing this and you got to feel it, kind of like the bro science versus like the real science thing. And it's just kind of like what you're selling. And just because, again, once I really get down to it and I actually started learning a little bit more, watching both those guys, I was like, they're both kind of like the same, like they're both kind of doing just like, what's the craziest exercise I can do, and tell people like, oh, this is what's really going to activate or whatever. And I'm like, you don't need to be doing a fucking glute bridge, Bosu ball with single arm chest press to get chest gains, but they got their shirts off and they're ripped up, and that's going to sell. Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
So I think that's why, because if you go the other way and you're not selling just aesthetics, you're eliminating your market by 90%.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
It is.
All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, please share, like, subscribe. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and view us. Also, if you're looking for YouTube, hit the like button, smash that subscribe, pow, pow. And then we get strengthsolutionspodcast.com for a website, free blogs, free guides, and programs for purchase. Then, if you're looking for email us future fitness questions, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com or strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Then, if you're looking for us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, it's Strength Solutions Podcast. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Until next time, guys, what?